Hola, bom dia, Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream and special effects this morning. Live stream, YouTube channel and podcast. And for those who can see on the screen there, some very interesting visual effects, which I think I now have under control with my fantastic new Mayo Wi-Fi. Lots of you there already this morning. Crikey, everyone's a bit keen. I have to say, I think I may have reached, well, I hope I've reached peak fatigue. What with the recent move and everything, and I think might be a good show to watch for possible comedy value. I'm struggling to stay on top of all the tech in my tired sort of mid-move or post-move state. So stay tuned. I mean, there's content certainly about Portugal, but there may be some big mistakes to be made because I'm not massively on top of my game. So watch out for you. YouTube-style howlers that maybe make you a fortune on something like You've Been Framed or Portugal's equivalent. I don't know what Portugal's equivalent of You've Been Framed or Candid Camera is, for those of you old enough to remember Candid Camera. But any road up, we will proceed anyway with a mixed bag again this morning. And of course, the invitation is always there for you to contribute and say what you wish to say about what's going on here in Portugal, whether you're somebody who's interested in moving here. And usually in that condition, people have a lot of questions about Portugal and what it's like to live here and what a good place to live here might be. So do ask those questions. And then you explorers and expats who are already here, you probably not so many questions, more statements about things. And feel free to contribute on that basis, not unlike this first comment from Paul Williams. Bon dia to you and a couple of new friends I've made due to this Facebook page. How fantastic is that? Good interjection there, Paul, because I'm wondering if we need a group. We have a Facebook page, don't we? But the Good Morning Portugal, what do I call it? Franchise does not have a group as yet where discussion takes place. The closest we come to that at the moment is the Expats Portugal Forum, which I contribute to daily with the ideas from the show. That's quite a good place to meet other new friends and contacts in Portugal. But I'm not averse to Good Morning Portugal having a group as well. So let me know. I'm here to help you. Let me know what you think would help you best. So as we would ordinarily do, news, weather, and on the feature side of things, I think I was perhaps a little bit hasty in my judgments about Portugal and vegetarianism yesterday. Yeah, lazy. I could have tried harder, actually, and I could have thought a bit harder about what I was saying. So we'll redress that today, or address it. Yeah, redress my comments yesterday about being vegetarian in Portugal, because we've had some very favorable incoming information. So weather today, 21 degrees in a cloudy capital today. Lisbon's a little bit cloudy. Still looking at a high of 27 though, which is very comfortable. And tomorrow 30. But the temperature's slowly dropping below that for the rest of the week, but still a very pleasant week in Lisbon. Shame there aren't that many people there to enjoy it at the moment. Porto, currently 19 degrees, and that'll be rising to 24 today, 26 and mid-20s temperatures in the Porto, Porto today. Coimbra, 20 degrees and overcast at the moment. Feeling that. That's the nearest principal town to me. We're halfway between Coimbra and Aveiro here, and it's 20 degrees and overcast. Looking out the window, certainly get that sense corroborated. I mean, that's the real weather forecast, isn't it? What you can see out your window. But it's rising to 28 today. 33 tomorrow, though. A spike up into the 30s for tomorrow and Thursday. Coimbra can really get some hot temperatures, some hot weather, and a bit of breeze headed our way for the weekend, it would appear, so far. And nothing changes like the weather, does it? But yeah, a little bit of wind forecast for Saturday. Faro, 32 degrees to look forward to today, but currently 21, and cloudless skies in Faro predicted so far for the week ahead, with temperatures rising into the 30s for the weekend. So there you go. There's your principal parts of Portugal. Still open to doing weather in some of the less obvious parts of Portugal. For example, Viseu, if you were to ask me about the weather in Viseu, 17 degrees at the moment, rising to 32 today, and temperatures in 35 tomorrow, 33 on Thursday, but 30 or above for the rest of the week in Visio. So let's have a look at this whale sighting as well. Oh, look at what's going on here with my green screen. That's a weird old. Yeah, I've just done the weather and it makes it look like it's snowing now where I am. Let me see if I can sort that out. Not of any bother to listening on a podcast, of course. Couldn't care less, could you, what my green screen's looking like? Good morning from Gary, Carl M. Paul, and everyone else. Yes, there's the reaching out going on across the community. I wonder, Gary, do you think a Facebook group would be good, or are there enough of those irritable places for people exchanging opinions and information on Facebook already? Gary, you would be a good person to answer that question, I think. Right. So before we go to vegetarianism in Portugal and F1, just want to give you a bit of an update about the Grand Prix. And, you might think to yourself, with our sports report, it's a bit of a Marmite thing, the expat sports report that we do with Calvin Avery. And Frank Devane is getting more involved in that. It's a bit of a sort of Marmite-y subject, isn't it? It's like you either like it or you don't. Wine, less so. I mean, people tolerate the wine club, even though they might not be massively interested in wine. Sport, it's like you like it or you don't, I think. And the F1's a bit like that, isn't it? The Formula One, but it is coming to Portugal, and that could have some massive economic impact in down there in the south. So that's why I mention it. Judge for yourself when we have a quick look at that. But let us look at the story of the whale family spotted off the Algarve coast. Let me share my screen with you for this. It's not a massive story, but it's a nice one, and it caused me to remember that when I was a kid, I walked with Greenpeace to save the whales. And do I assume now that they've been saved? Again, I'm being a bit lazy. I should do my own research on this, but it was just a passing thought that I would share with you. And long before the whole drama and concern about climate change and every other environmental sort of, I was going to call it terrorism since, these were happy days, weren't they? When all you had to worry about was saving whales, and that's what I was doing. I don't know, when I was a teenager, and I remember walking 15 miles in London's Regent's Park as a sponsored walk with Greenpeace. And I don't know you just don't hear about it now, do you? I don't know what's happening with whale populations and whale conservation. But a good news is, yesterday, 27th, thanks to the Portugal news here, a whale family. Well, it's not thanks to them that a whale family are there, but it's thanks to them that they've covered this story, and not hugely, and no photos, but that would be quite something, wouldn't it? Whale family spotted off the Algarve coast. 4 orcas were seen 3 miles out at sea between Ferragudo and Carveiro, the male, female. Well, someone really knew what they were talking about here, didn't they, with this whale spotting? The male, female, and 2 young calves were spotted by several people who had taken dolphin watching boat trips out to sea. Imagine that. The pod of orcas was later spotted near Sagres and is believed to have come closer to the coastline in search of food such as tuna. So they eat tuna like the humans. They like a bit of tuna, or some humans anyway, as we discover when we talk more about vegetarianism in a little while. But imagine that. You'll go out for a dolphin spotting trip, and I didn't know you could do that actually down there in the Algarve, and as well as, or instead of dolphins, you see a family of orca, aka killer whales. I think, yeah, it's probably nicer to call them orcas, isn't it, than killer whales? But then again, given their predilection for tuna, they are indeed killer whales, hustling around the south coast of Portugal there. So that's nice. Excellent. On to F1 then. And I think a quick sip of my tea is only right to do. Oh, hold on, a few more comments. But I will have a sip of tea before I address those. Bear with me. Sip your own tea or talk among yourselves. Oh, that is good. Excellent. Lidl's best tea. And I've got used, I have to say now, I've got used to UHT milk. Never thought that would happen. But that is, I mean, occasionally you can get fresh milk here in Portugal, and I do like to do that. Habituated as I am to drinking sort of builder's tea, British style, But I must say, the UHT that I get, because certainly in this hot weather, you're better off with a UHT, in terms of preservation. Used to that now. And that is a blessed in this, as I was saying to you, having reached peak fatigue of moving. That is a manna from heaven, that little sip of tea there. Jeff Leyland, bon dia, Carl in Portugal. Did you get my message yesterday, vegan, vegetarian? Jeff, I'm not sure I did. There's a lot going on at the moment, but I will look again. Let me know where you sent that, Jeff, and I will revisit that. Hopefully this today. If you could just remind me, or certainly feel free to post up some info in the comments right there where you've done that. But thank you for reaching out in that way. Bon dia, Carl. A very misty morning in Mortosa. Had a great day in Aveiro yesterday. Oh, you're up this way. Lovely place and well worth a visit. Off to Porto today, Claire and Steve. So they've really gone north, those guys, the McGibbons. And have a great day in Porto today, you guys. And what a lovely trip they've had. It's been really wonderful to be part of your journey, Claire and Steve, as we first met virtually with you being in the Algarve, and you've made your journey up the coast. And Aveiro yesterday and Porto today. Fantastic. Have a great day. Bon dia from Joe. Hiya, Joe. Good morning to you. Good morning to Ty as well. Ty Johnson. Hola. Simple hola. Next step, soya milk. Look at this. The vegetarians and vegans are working on me as we speak. I have been known to, actually. And I have been vegan and vegetarian in my life. And I suppose you can't really say you're either of those unless you really are those for all of your life. But, I have had stages in my life. And would you believe, I think I used to drink organic Earl Grey with goat's milk at one point. Although that's no better, is it, in terms of vegetarian and veganism? But yes, I have drunk all the plant milks, Thai as well, in my time. Not sure about soy milk and its effect on my man boobs, if I may be so indelicate, and share that with you. I'm not sure. I'd much rather drink oat milk than I would soy. I just think soy is a pretty suspect crop product, GMO and estrogens and all that sort of stuff. But there you go. Happy to have those conversations. Absolutely. I think we have other resources to use, like Expats Portugal, etc. But Good Morning Portugal is a great meeting place, as proved by Paul. The show really works well because it's open and flows nicely, don't you think? Occasionally it does flow nicely. It doesn't feel like one of those shows this morning, Gary. I'll feel very glad to have got to about 9:30 or 9:40 today without any major hitches. My green screen's playing up. I started this morning without my microphone or anything plugged in. As I say, stay tuned. It could get very funny, but not not intentionally. Sent via FB Messenger. Okay, Jeff, is that into the Good Morning Portugal inbox or to my own personal? But we'll have a look, and I will include that information today as best I can. Because I think it's an important subject for sure. The whole idea of vegan and vegetarianism in Portugal. And as I say, yesterday I was a bit lazy in my judgment about it. Before we go there, though, we can share that Joe doesn't drink soy milk. Tastes like Play-Doh. Yes, I see what you mean. That's quite a good review, isn't it? Oh, look at what's going on behind me there. Oh, this is ridiculous. I don't think the light's changing, but that's bizarre, isn't it? Let me see. There you go. That's true. That's it for a moment until that kicks off again. Like I say, got a lot of added comedy value today. We parked next to Greenpeace's Rainbow Warrior once, says Wayne Barker, out on the high seas with the Navy. Yeah, a Royal Navy ship was not a welcome sight. Can you imagine? With all those tree huggers, as I had a conversation with someone yesterday who reminded me of the phrase tree hugging. She meant it in a good way, if that's possible. But we were actually serving fishery protection duties at the time. Beware of tunnel vision. Not sure what you mean there. I'm not at the top of my game, as I said, Wayne, and I might have missed that reference. Beware of tunnel vision. Explain some more, sir. Is that what it looks like? I'm sat in a tunnel of snow here when the effects go a bit weird. And as I said before, I'm going to replace this green screen anyway with I've got a beautiful view outside. I'm going to orientate this studio so that you get actual Portugal at the back. That would be a lot more authentic and real, wouldn't it? that would be the right thing to do, and try and manage nature's light, which will be even harder than managing these lights in here. Bon dia, Carl from FD Devane is talking about you, Frank, earlier on, and the sport report. You did a fantastic job. You and Calvin were superb, and it must have been nice to actually get on with it and talk about sport without having my inane interjections based on my terrible lack of sporting knowledge. Great disappointment to my father in that respect, I think. Okay, so let's go have a look at this F1 news. If you didn't know already, Portimao will be hosting the Grand Prix. And let's tell you more about that. Portimao F1 Heineken Grand Prix Portugal promises at least. You see that sponsorship thing? It used to just be a Grand Prix. Now it's the Heineken Grand Prix. At least, which you could think, if you're a visitor from outer space, it was like a competition to see who can drink the most Heineken at the highest speed or something like that. At least 30 million promised for the economy, plus 5,000 spectators. Now, I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, that sort of news is really irritating, isn't it, to the likes of visitors who want to come from the UK to Portugal but can't at the moment, or face 14-day quarantine on their return. And it just seems weird, doesn't it? On the one hand, there were great pains being taken to social distance and quarantine, and then suddenly there's going to be 5,000 people in one space looking at the Grand Prix. But who am I to judge? Just saying. The long-awaited return of Formula One racing to Portugal, this time to be hosted by Portimao's Algarve International Autodrome, the AIA, promises to bring in at least 30 million for the economy and play out in front of a minimum of 5,000 spectators. I guess in a racetrack, you can be spaced out sufficiently. Radiant Autodrome CEO Paulo Pinheiro, who has been working to clinch this fixture for years. I bet he's really relieved. It's a bit like getting the Olympics for him, isn't it, in his sport? Believes revenue from F1 Heineken Grand Prix Portugal could top 100,000 and spectator numbers could increase too. So hold on, what is it to be? 30 million or 100,000? You'd hope it would be a lot more than maybe that's a typo. Anyway, we're working on the basis of 5,000 to start with, he told a tabloid Correio da Manhã yesterday, when the news that this was a story from the 25th, when the news that Portimao had been chosen as a venue was finally officially confirmed. But this could stretch to 50,000, which translates to, 50% of the Autodrome's capacity. So 5,000 is a very socially distanced effort for a stadium that can hold 100,000 people. I see now. Tickets are already on sale. Has anyone in the Good Morning Portugal community here bought a ticket? Tickets that range from 85 euros to 650. I wonder what you get for 650 euros at an F1. The chance to see cars going past really fast every, few minutes. And access, I would have thought, to some Heineken at that level. Says CM, the Autodrome site crashed yesterday due to the level of interest. Poor choice of words for a Grand Prix story, I think. Back up now and can be accessed here. There's a link to it. Grand Prix Portugal will take place between Friday, October the 23rd and Sunday, October the 25th. And I'm guessing a lot of people are hoping that is like between the waves before the winter and when the curve has been flattened successfully and massively from this first wave. This is the first time an F1 event will have been held in Portugal since 96 in Estoril. Says CM, Paulo Pinheiro hasn't revealed the costs involved in attracting the races to Portimao, but Secretary of State for Tourism Rita Marques has stressed that Turismo de Portugal has an agreement with the AIA to finance the resurfacing of the track, an undertaking that will cost an estimated 1.5 million. A nice gig for a tarmacking firm there. Portimao Mayor Iselda Gomes has said the municipality will be helping towards this cost with a payment of 200,000. Wow, people are really putting their money where their mouths are to have this happen in Portugal. Say reports, beyond the many thousands of spectators, the F1 entourages will involve roughly 10,000 people in various capacities. There's not been much of a pushback on this, as there COVID-wise. And again, I'm not judging this. I just don't know anymore. I'll be honest with you. It's a very confusing picture. People have strong opinions about this, but this does seem to go against. I mean, how do you manage this in the pandemic and in the sense of reducing infection with this massive influx of people? We shall see. From those working with the individual teams to logistical support and the press corps, said Rita Marques, in the worst hypotheses, the races should have an economic impact of 30 million. That's worst case scenario, folks. Paulo Pinheiro, however, is much more gung-ho, expecting more. That's always good when you can put the phrase gung-ho into a sentence, expecting more than triple this amount. News that F1 has chosen Portimao followed the cancellation of various fixtures planned elsewhere due to the pandemic. Portugal, however, bring it. There you go. So Portimao, October, F1. Is that another Good Morning Portugal meetup, do we think? Let's have a look at your comments. Remember having a chat with the last woman protester outside Greenham Common a long time ago. I often wonder where she is and what she is doing. They were an impressive bunch of women, weren't they? The women outside Greenham Common, incredible. And I suspect, what they did have an impact. It was all part of the churn, wasn't it, of demilitarizing life in Western Europe. If that indeed is what's happened, or if it's just a major PR job and our thoughts are elsewhere now, say more, Gary. I'm sure that would have been a very interesting conversation. And yes, an ex-partner of mine, I think, spent some time there. And that was an early peace camp, wasn't it? That was long before Swampy and those sorts of protests. Incredible. Drinking Heineken at high speed. That's one heck of a contest. Full of ideas this morning, Carl. Yes, I am, Frank. It's just coming out of me. You know how it does sometimes. Delicious. A Grand Prix to drink as much beer as possible. Or am I confused? No, Ferry. If you're up for it, we can announce on the show that Castelo de Terra will be hosting the Cerveja Grand Prix 2021, where we will led by you, drinking as much beer as possible in the shortest possible time. What could possibly go wrong, and what is wrong with us Northern Europeans, I wonder, with this beer thing? Oh, green screen, will you stop? Great show, really cool idea. Thank you, Mia Ejman. It's normally better than this, Mia, but I'm so glad that you are accepting of this, to me, quite low standard of presentation. This is a boring backstory for the rest of the folks here, because they track. I allow them to track my every move by being here every morning, reporting on the minutiae of my life. I have been moving house just recently, and as I said earlier on, peak fatigue, so a bit knackered, and not pushing the buttons and pulling the levers in quite the most efficient way I might ordinarily, although that's debatable. But it's so good that you think it's a really cool idea and a great show, Mia. You are most welcome. You have now a lifetime pass and key to the show for such a great compliment. The interesting bit is they will allow Champions League, says Frank, football and F1 to come here, but won't allow tourists. I wish the rest of Europe would stop treating Portugal like a stepchild. Oh dear. So Cinderella reference there. Yeah. I mean, can anyone explain the logic or lack of, explain why there seems to be a lack of logic to Frank is saying? I don't know. I'm not going to even start trying to understand and explain that, because I don't understand it and I can't explain it. So a little bit more feedback. No, actually a little sip of tea. Bear with me. Oh my goodness, that's good, and not spoilt by Play-Doh flavored soy milk. That's so funny, Joe. Well spotted. I'm never going to forget that. Let us look now at some feedback that came in. I don't want the show to be entirely feedback, but I have to say, Gordianus has been in touch again from Japan. Oh no, Mr. Munson, I usually watch your videos drunk, and when your image was fuzzy for everyone else, it was clear to me. Lol. Sadly, this video returned to be unfocused again. Oh dear. As long as the government continued to use private means of firefighting. This was, referring to yesterday and the tragic loss of a third firefighter in just a few weeks here in Portugal. But he makes the point, no fires, no profit. The crime against humanity will continue. So if you're a Portuguese person, you really understand the politics of how fire is managed here. I guess it's not a pretty picture. I'm with the UK and their policy toward Portugal right now. So Gordianus, yes, happy that Portugal is not included in the UK's list of safe places to go. True friends wish you to be healthy, and until a vaccine comes, tourism will be a dying industry. That's a hard line, Gordianus. When I was a child, there were practically no tourists in Portugal, and people live better lives working in other sectors of the economy. That is such an interesting statement, Gordianus. And I could see how that would be the case. tourism, although it brings a lot of money, is not the highest paid industry, is it? It's not stable. It's not high paying. It's just a surge of money at times, if you're lucky. No country can be a stable country if tourism is one of the main players of its economy. Well said, sir. Mr. Munson, enter into contact with Stay Classy Vlog. They're a Danish couple that moved to Portugal. So another tip here, fellow YouTubers, I'm not going to call them competition. I'm going to call them collaborators on this journey. A joint video will considerably increase your subscribe. So I'm definitely interested there. Don't forget to subscribe to the Good Morning Portugal YouTube channel. And he's given me a link to Stay Classy, who it says, "What's up, my boys? It's Emily and John, and we are YouTubers here in beautiful Portugal. Where this is my Danish accent. It's terrible, isn't it? Where we live in Lisbon. We have a passion for everything in Portugal, which means we travel around the country to explore all the most amazing towns, cities, nature, food, and culture. We document everything we do with 2 to 3 videos every week. Wow. Our goal is to travel Portugal with videos from every corner." Well, we got to meet up with those guys at some point. 54.4 thousand subscribers. Oh, that's knocked me into a cocked hat this morning. Any road. Well, yeah, other comments coming in. A great video. I hope you enjoy my content too. That's these cheeky people who just like to give you a compliment so you watch their videos as well. Fair play. We've all got to make a living. Enjoying your daily videos from the US, says Steve Merwin, Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you. Steve, thank you very much for saying hi. I love it when people say hi. From either the podcast or the vodcast, the videos. And Glick Mathan. This is where we'll turn our attention now. Good morning, Carl. Excellent show per usual. Check out happycow.com for veggie restaurant listings in Portugal. I think you'll be surprised just how many all vegan and vegetarian restaurants there are there, especially in the bigger cities. Some non-veg restaurants will have vegan options like Hands Go Pizza in Porto. So shout out to them. I've had 3 vegan Francesinha sandwiches at 3 different restaurants in Porto, Viana de Castelo, and a small town about 20 minutes north of there. Now, that would be sacrilege to some Portuguese people. The vegetarian Francesinha. Imagine that, a vegan Francesinha. It's possible. Anything's possible now, isn't it, with food tech and the great imaginations of chefs and cooks. Check out the vegan chain called Terra. I have, and I like it. There are 15 of them in Portugal. I had no idea there were that many. And a great place for fresh, healthy veggie food, as well as deliciously decadent desserts, including pastel de natas, obviously. I ate one of the best falafels ever at the Hummus Bar in the Campo do Ourique market in Lisbon. That would be. Vegan salad, olives, bread, and boiled potatoes are common fare at many Portuguese restaurants where olive oil is more standard than butter. In this respect, Portugal is naturally more vegan friendly than a typical restaurant in the US. What an interesting point. Yes, if olive oil precedes butter in the food chain, literally, then yes, it will be vegan, won't it? Likewise, if someone eats fish but is otherwise vegan, grilled fish is generally only salted and brushed with olive oil in Portugal, so no butter there either. Prawns cooked in garlic and olive oil is another common option for the pescatarians, or cod botherers, as I like to call them. That's me, not Glick saying that. Oh, also look out for Indian restaurants, as they are surprisingly common. I had an excellent vegan curry in Saldana just off the roundabout. I noticed there were 2 curry places in the little town of Nazaré. Check out the all-vegan Burrito in Coimbra. This is such a fantastic pile of information about vegan and vegetarianism. It is a review of vegan and vegetarian eating out in Portugal in one YouTube comment. So thanks, Glick. So check out vegan Burrito in Coimbra. Very tasty, and I didn't expect to find anything Mexican there. The vegan movement is growing in Portugal. I was very impressed too with the natural food stores, Salero, Go Natural, etc. Lots of vegan options too at the regular chains like Lidl and Aldi, Pingo Doce, etc. I hope this helps. Cheers, buddy. Cheers, buddy, you, mate. Glick Mathan. What a fantastic spread of ideas and options there. So there you go. I was being a little bit predictable and lazy yesterday when I said, yeah, you know, it's hard to be a vegetarian or a vegan in Portugal because people love their meat so much here. That is true, but clearly many other options as well. Fantastic. And I will take a quick look at Happy Cow before we go, but more on your comments here. Owen, here we go. Busting out the Portuguese. Que esse dia seja cheio de amor e felicidade. I think wishing us a day possibly of love and happiness from Owen there. Thanks, mate. How are you this morning, this fine morning? And any news on the wine company yet? Gary, as you know, lots going on for me at the moment, and I've dragged my feet with that. But the great news is that there are 2 wine companies who are in our sights now. The Good Morning Portugal Club is going from strength to strength. I think we're getting close to 3 figures in our community of happy wine tasters. And we were invited to something in Lisbon next week to go see a new winery in Lisbon, specializing in Stabal and I guess Tejo wines. Forgive me, and not knowing the proper technical term, but obviously, wines from around the Lisbon area. And your lead as well, which I will follow up. So forgive me for not doing that just yet. But I'm ever so grateful. And I think the wine club has legs. Like a good wine, it has legs. We will be traveling physically and virtually around Portugal, tasting the wine. Join us fortnightly, although with a lot of changes with Good Morning Portugal, the threatened evening phone-in style program, the wine club may become more often, more frequent than just fortnightly. Not every day. That would be a punishing and unhealthy schedule, would it not? But I'm thinking weekly, perhaps. We'll be. I mean, there's certainly enough wine in Portugal for us to have a weekly assessment and analysis. Just in the Bairrada alone, there's more wine in the Bairrada, more varieties in Bairrada where I live than there are days in the year, which to give you an idea of what's going on. Great to hear from Carl, the other Carl. Bon dia, Carl. Family and I found a lovely vegan cafe in Fundão, Ananda. Wonderful food served and prepared by an inspiring mother and son, Sheila and Jishnu. Amazing and highly recommended. Thank you for that, Carl. And this is the sort of thing we really like, the recommendation of particular businesses in parts of Portugal, because I think it's really important to give credit where it's due and support local businesses, and businesses certainly that are doing interesting things, tasty things as well. All Carl had to say is beer drinking, and everyone tuned in. Right? Beer drinking. I'll keep trying that, Frank. Bon dia, Carl from Mag. Hiya, Mag. How are you in Lisbon, I suspect? Why can't I see these comments, says Joe. I don't know, Joe. I think it might be something to do with the technological platform or your particular variety of Facebook that you're using this morning. But don't worry, I can read them out for you. It's all part of the service. Bon dia from Gafanha do Carmo. That would be, I believe, is Gafanha do Carmo part of the Aveiro district, Jane? But good morning to you, Jane. Thanks for tuning in this morning. And me too, Joe. Oh, okay. So there may be some sort of bug on. I haven't done anything at my end. This isn't one of my mess ups this morning. And so I don't know the answer to why you guys can't see the comments. I think it's a Facebook glitch and not a Munson glitch, I'm glad to report. Rachel is all excited about the wine club news, and so she should be. It is exciting, Rachel, and we've really enjoyed your company on our tastings. When we did that Zoom version and everyone was sat there like it was Gogglebox with wine, it was perfect. We could be sort of Goggle Wine Box, couldn't we? Or something along those lines. But yeah, it is exciting news, and I just think it's going to get better and better. On my way to Fundão tomorrow, says Mag. So there you go. If you want to check that out, that would be Ananda, the vegan cafe in Fundão, where they're giving it a go. And would be good to have the wine club weekly, as long as it's not 20 quid a bottle. Only 20 euros, Gary, actually. So it's only about what at current rates, what 16.50 or something. But yeah, eye-watering. But Eloise is expanding us in every way, I think, with our sophistication, our wine quaffing sophistication. Yes, thank you, Eloise. Okay, let's tail off now. I will slope away, but only after I've shared with you on the screen the Happy Cow situation, which I hasten to add is a vegan and vegetarian restaurant guide, not an aspersion or a nasturtium cast to anyone listening or part of our community. Happy Cow, vegan food near me. Look at this, all this choice, vegan delivery nearby. So delivery as well as restaurants. What a great resource, happycow.net. And I looked more specifically at their 10 best restaurants just to I was going to say water your mouth. That sounds terrible, doesn't it? Water your mouth. To give you a mouth-watering experience is what I'm trying to say with these dishes. Let's have a scroll through them. Apologies to the podcast listeners. I will attempt to describe them for you. Top 10 vegan vegetarian restaurants. Now, I think there is a section of carnivores who are as upset by the talk of vegan and vegetarianism as some vegans and vegetarians are about talking about meat. They'll have already switched off. But look, have an open mind here. Vegetarian and vegan food, I think, has come so far in the last 10 years. We're a long way from omelets and cheese sandwiches, I'm glad to say, which was how I characterized it yesterday. And we discover, certainly, look at that, Arvor del Mundo, the tree of the world, world tree. Is that a piece of seitan? I always think cooking seitan is a funny thing. But the vegan restaurant, art gallery, handicraft store, that experience there, that looks delicious to me, with that great big juicy basil leaf on top of it, Arvor del Mundo. Then you can go to Vegana by Tentugal with a nice fruity salad there. I do like a bit of fruit mixed in with salad, blueberries there and oranges alongside the cucumber and tomato. Again, that will have some people repulsed, but with the fruit as good as it is in Portugal, and every expat coming to Portugal knows that fruit here, if you come from Northern Europe and you have fruit in Portugal, it's like, oh my goodness, this is how fruit should really taste. It's like 10 times sweeter than we're used to having. Oh, Porto de Gatos, the cat cafe, would that be? There's a nice tofu curry, I would say. Just guessing there, with a nice bit of basmati. And a tasty looking curry of lentils. And it's a bit of a stereotype, that one, in tofu and lentil. That's possibly what does put some people off, but it's all in the taste, guys. Remedio Santo, some lovely wilted leaves there, few lentils in the mix there, and some tasty looking mushrooms. Do love a mushroom. Mushrooms in Portugal, forgot to mention that completely. So many people growing specialty mushrooms in Portugal, not unlike our friends Chimajito, of course, and de Terra. We'll end there with this delightful buffet smorgasbord plateful from de Terra. There's obviously an olive tapenade there. There are they samosas? Or they might be baklavas, I don't know. But they are a nice parcel of something or other, vegan or vegetarian. Some guacamole on there. I would suggest some, would they be falafels, and some beautiful salad there, along with, the usual suspects of fresh Portuguese produce, tomatoes this time of year. Aren't they amazing? But there's de Terra. Delighted to find out today 15 of those. There's the one that's in Porto that we're looking at the picture of. But there are 15 across Portugal. I had no idea. De Terra, great value. I think it's, 6 or 7 euros, as much as you can eat vegan, vegetarian buffet. Great way to eat, experiment, and taste wonderful vegan and vegetarian food. So let's leave it there, unless you have got some more comments, which are not being shown on the screen anymore. Joe just saying there, you mentioned omelets yesterday, didn't you, Joe? You'd be surprised how many omelets I've had in our area. I actually wouldn't, Joe. But I'm sure as well, you know how who's the famous chef, that his test for a chef was not something fancy, but how well they cooked an omelette. And it's an amazing thing, isn't it, how different omelettes can be. And I imagine you've had a real variety of very hard, chewy omelettes and some sort of light and fluffy, whipped up omelettes. Do like an omelette myself, I have to say. Obviously not good for vegans. Off to restore a bread oven. Enjoy your day, everyone. There he goes on his culinary quest. Off to restore a bread oven. That sounds like fun. Hope to see some of the produce from there, Owen. And of course, I'm reminded that I haven't responded to Gary's request for a bread special. We will do that. Portuguese. Here we go. This is a good note and review to end on. Portuguese fruit, so good, it makes your head hurt. I know what you mean. That intensity can give you a kind of brain freeze, can't it? It's amazing. Thanks for that, Gary. Thanks, everyone, this morning. Too numerous to mention, but thank you for your company. And in terms of fatigue and tiredness, I'm sure it can only get better now, now that all there is to do is just empty all these many boxes that I moved single-handed and manfully from my last residence. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. Até já. Até breve. Até próxima. Até logo.